You know what time it is?
Is it Colonial time?
It is, in fact, Colonial time.
Heck yeah.
My preseason sleeper pick got on the board last week as Richmond knocked off Albany 24-20. Thanks in large part to our guy Maurice Jackson, who collected 3 sacks and a fumble recovery. Nice little run back on that fumble recovery as well. He can move.
Yeah, he is crazy impressive. Just does it all, literally.
I caught up with him midweek, and we talked about Richmond's mindset, both going into that game with kind of their back against the wall and now coming out of that game with everything in front of them, and where they're all at mentally and what he's doing as a leader to kind of continue to push this team forward now as they're about to enter a pretty tough stretch. You can check that out right now. All right, we are joined by Mo Jackson of Richmond, the preseason conference defensive player of the year. He's a guy who came into the season with all kinds of hype, and you know what? He's actually living up to it, which doesn't always happen. Through 5 games, we've got 5 sacks, we've got 3 hurries, 9 TFLs, 26 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, an interception, and a partridge in a pear tree. Look, Mo, we've talked about this before, but you didn't arrive at Richmond as an elite edge rusher. You linebacker in high school showed up. They put, you're playing 3 technique. And then along the way, some things start to change for you with regard to where they wanted to line you up. New coaching staff arrives, and now you are who you are. But for people that don't know, if you could just kind of rehash the journey to this day and the player that you've become.
Starting off in high school, I was recruited as a linebacker, safety, or running back type of guy. I got here, was a little bit overweight, so they ended up just making me play linebacker, which was fine. And then a couple injuries happened. This is my freshman year to our D-line. So they moved me to D-line just to have me there. I got some reps there for the second half of the season into the playoffs. So I stayed there when the new coaching staff came. They started me off at 3 tech, so I had to put on about 30 pounds to get to 270. Played that whole season at 3 tech. Then the next season, I was going to play 3 tech again, but some guys got shifted around, so they ended up moving me out to defensive end my junior year, which was last year. And, I lost about 20 pounds, 15 pounds from there. And ever since then, I've been at defensive end, and here we are.
Here we are. No doubt about that. Like I said, Defensive Player of the Year coming into the year, you were named the co-defensive player of the week after your performance against Albany. That involved all kinds of good stuff, including you collected an interception, the interception I mentioned, 3 sacks, forced fumble, all that in what was really a much-needed win for you guys, for Richmond. You seem, in particular, to be in the zone. Can you just take me into the performance from your perspective, what was going through your head on what wasn't necessarily a career day, because you've had some good days, but on definitely one of your better outings?
I just, from the get-go, starting off on about Friday, I just knew that we really needed to win. I thought we had a good game plan going into it, so kudos to our coaches for really putting us in great spots to win our matchups. I knew by the energy we had in the locker room pregame that it was going to be a good one. We were all fired up, including the D-line. We all knew this was a big game for us whenever we needed to show up on film, which is exactly what we did. So shout out to those guys. Kobe Ridden, Kobe Turner had a great day as well. Gershom, Joni, all of those guys, Caleb Brooks, Darius Reynolds, they all did a great job up front. Our back end did well too, and our offense executed the way they needed to. So, just going into the game, I could just feel the complete overall sense that everybody really wanted to win this game and knew what they had to do it, and that's what happened. So, really good going into the game.
Look, man, you said it, and that was really the follow-up is, as a team, the sense of urgency in the locker room. Could you feel a different vibe amongst your teammates? And obviously you could. So I would pivot just a bit, and I would ask, you go in, you win the opener. And it's a season you're coming into with a lot of confidence and maybe not outside expectation, but, we were there. Definitely some expectation within the facility, within that locker room. You win the first game, everything is great, but when, take a little slide, a little losing streak. What is it like as one of the leaders on a team to try to pull people back out of that and get everybody looking ahead again with everything still out in front of you?
It's a tough job, I'd have to say, to admit. It's a tough job, especially when as a person, you might be one of those guys that almost gets down to the dump too. But it takes a good leader to be able to keep yourself up and to be able to keep your team up. So, that's what I try to do. That's what my other 2 captains, Daniel Jones and Sam Sedapani, tried to do. We all tried to make sure that everyone knew that it wasn't over. Way too early in the season to be that down. and to think that everything's downhill. We got a lot of football left to play. We still got a lot of football left to play. So we have to just keep our minds on getting better every day, getting better every week, so that we can continue to try and win these games and to achieve what we want to achieve at the end.
Look, I'm not going to toot my own horn here or anything just because I've got you, but I will say that on the very first episode of Colonial Time, I did go on record as having said that Richmond was my sleeper team in the league this year, and the 2-3 start, or the 1-3 start, I should say, did not deter me. I'm still riding with you guys because you're welcome, but make me look smart, please. Everything is still out there. I mean, the first 5 games, really inconsequential down the stretch. You've obviously Maine this weekend, Delaware, Stony Brook, Villanova, JMU. I mean, that's the top of the league right there. They're all still left on the schedule. So what's the approach? What's the mindset moving forward? How are you guys attacking maybe the second half of the season differently than you were thinking about the first half?
At least personally for me, I know that the second half is the most important. That's where most of our CAA play comes into play. And not only that, but these are the top teams in the CAA that we're playing. So these are all going to be big games for us, but we're not going to make it any bigger than it is. They're big games if we're playing them. That's pretty much it. So we're just going to go out there with the same mindset that we've had every game, and that's just to go out there and execute and win. We're playing good opponents, and they're all doing very well at this point to the season. So, we just got to keep doing our job and keep tunnel vision, as they would say. Just look forward to what we got to do each week.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a CAA, so you can't really look more than a week ahead because every opponent you're going to have in that league is the real deal. When half the league is in the top 25, that's not by accident. You could say the first day of the rest of y'all's lives is Saturday against Maine. And that's a team that, defending CAA champs, and they themselves have run into some bumps this year. A start kind of similar to what you guys have been through. And really, if you look back and forth between both the teams, you can find a lot of parallels. What is it about Maine that you've noticed? What do we know about them so far, aside from what we thought we already knew, which is that they're dominant on defense and they're going to throw it a lot on offense?
They still stuck to most of those things, I would say, for the most part. But besides the 2-3 start, they're still a great team. They're still the defending champions. They still have a lot of talent. That they didn't lose a lot of talent from last year. So we still know they got guys over there that can make plays. So there's no putting them down because of their record. We still got to go out there and play who we're playing just because that's who we're playing against. We got to keep our tunnel vision, as I already said, and just keep preparing to do what we got to do and win how we want to win. So, we're ready for a challenge because we know it's going to be a hard-fought battle against Maine. It always has been since we've been playing them. So I'm pretty excited about this one.
That game can be watched live on FloFootball.com and the Flo Sports app, and it is must-see. But honestly, any game that number 36 is playing in is must-see TV because my guy's an animal out there. Mo Jackson, thanks so much for the time, as always, my man. Best of luck Saturday, and I'm sure I'll be catching up with you in no time.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Mo's a beast.
He's really good, man.
He is a beast, but I'll tell you what, man, if Richmond is going to keep going, and I hope they do because I like being right, it's going to take more than just 36.
Mm-hmm.
That remaining schedule is the toughest in the championship subdivision, and likely by a pretty wide margin. They go to number 18 Maine, live on Flo. Then they have undefeated Yale. Then they go to number 15 Delaware, live on Flo. Then they have number 22 Stony Brook. That's homecoming. That's not what you want to do with homecoming.
No.
Live on Flo, sorry. Live on Flo. And then they close at number 5 Villanova, live on Flo. And at number 2 JMU, live on Flo. Before the Capital Cup against William & Mary, live on Flo.
Yeah.
That's woof, dude.
Yeah.
That sucks. I mean, William & Mary's looked really good.
After that, Yale, they go to a ranked Maine team this week. Yale in between. And then 5 straight top 25 teams.
Yeah.
4 of them on the road.
I mean,
well, there's 4 ranked teams.
4 ranked teams. I didn't want to hop in there, although maybe I should have hopped in there and corrected you.
Sorry, 4 ranked teams, 3 of them on the road. That is not fun.
You're right. And the one that's not ranked, again, William & Mary, it's a rivalry game. They've looked much improved under Mike London.
Mm-hmm.
That is not necessarily going to be an easy one for Richmond either. So, sleeper pick, sticking with them, riding with the Spiders. But, boy, they got to get something going offensively. I think that Bo English has looked really promising of late, but my man's got to explode down the stretch. We need to see all the tools. And if we we get, all of Bo English has to offer with that wide receiver group, and Mo doing his thing on defense, anything can happen. And as a team, all you can ask is that everything is on the table out in front of you and that you control your own destiny.
Yep.
And Richmond does. The biggest game of the year, at least to date.
Oh, baby.
Harrisonburg, Virginia, Saturday afternoon. Number 2 JMU, undefeated 5th-ranked Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
Nova enters the game after, again, a sneaky tough contest against William & Mary, where William & Mary, they showed a lot of tenacity. They fought back in some spots.
How about them just completely changing from what they did all year? They started Hollis Mathis and ran the ball everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, nope, going to pass the ball all over the yard today.
Yeah. Tough to prepare for.
Yeah.
Brendan Marion's done a really good job of making that offense multiple and making them a really tough team to game plan for.
Seriously.
Which is, man, look, that's part of it. You come into a new program like that, maybe you don't quite have the personnel that you want to run the offense that you've got. You can't just run into a brick wall every time and insist on things going the way that you see them going on your whiteboard. And Marion's done a great job of being versatile and working with what he's got. So shouts to him. Shouts to William & Mary, but this is not about William & Mary. This is about the team they just lost to, being Villanova, and they are now 6-0. And then JMU edged Stony Brook in one of the best games I've seen this year.
It was awesome.
A game that literally came down to the final inches on the final throw of the game.
Yeah. A dime by Tyquell Fields, and just off the receiver's fingertips in the end zone that would have sent it to a second overtime.
Can you care to assess the JMU Villanova matchup in particular?
First off, I just want to start. So I've been seeing the Villanova Twitter account talk about 88 strong, and I didn't know what that meant. And then they put out a video today. They have 88 players on their roster. And in the video, they're talking about how most schools have over 100.
Yeah.
It's like, we have 88. And then, so this 88 strong, and then the 0-9 mentality.
The 0-9 thing is my favorite thing.
Yeah, that our man Covington talked about on here a few weeks ago, where they had 0 preseason all-conference players and were picked 9th in the CAA, has just fueled this redemption tour they're calling it, which I love. And JMU, next up on the list. They kind of got beat down at home last year. Villanova did, but this is completely it's a completely different team. With Daniel Smith at the helm, and man, is Villanova going to be able to run the ball against that JMU front?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's right here in the notes, man. That's maybe the best defensive line in all of the FCS. Obviously, we talk about them every week, but Rondell Carter, John Daka, those guys, they're not easy to run against. Stony Brook found some success though on the ground, and you wonder if Villanova can capitalize on that. I mean, Daniel Smith isn't exactly going to have an easy-going day through the air either, with Rashad Robinson obviously anchoring that secondary and a lot of speed and talent on the back end as well. For JMU, it's a question of defensively, can you put it all together? There's no questioning the talent on that side of the ball. There's just been a few lapses in the last few weeks that have made things more interesting than they probably would have hoped. Yeah,
and the one thing that could be interesting too is, JMU's putting up serious points this year. And the Villanova defense has given, when they played really explosive offense in Towson, they gave up 45. Did hold an explosive main team to 17, and then 28 last week to William & Mary. So be careful you don't let this one get too far out in front, maybe if JMU starts fast.
Well, so that's exactly, I think, the biggest factor in determining the winner of this game is who comes out of the gates the fastest, because you're looking at two teams. JMU's plus 35 in the first quarter this year. Nova's plus 44 in the first quarter this year. Oh, my gosh. So it's two teams that rank among the nation's leaders in first quarter margin. Something has to give. They can't both jump out to a big lead. So who does? Because in front of 25,000 people at Bridgeport Stadium.
Sold out.
If it's JMU out to the early lead, that's going to put even more pressure on Villanova, and that can start to feel heavy. But conversely, if it's Villanova that jumps out to the big early lead, take the crowd out of the game. Now those 25,000 don't matter anymore. So I think it's very important that these teams start fast, and whoever does is going to obviously. I mean, it's not I'm not breaking news. Hey, whoever scores a lot and takes the lead early is more likely to win.
Yeah.
But I think with these two teams and the way that they're built, and both of them really loving to move the ball on the ground as well, it's not going to be easy to come back from a big deficit, which is why it's important that both of them get out to the big early lead, because once they get out to that lead, they start, in JMU's case, handing the ball off to half the team. In the case of Villanova, giving that thing to 3. And in either case, that's the roadmap to victory. So whoever can get out in front early, get to that blueprint, either take the crowd out or get the crowd involved, I think they have a huge edge going into the second, third, and fourth quarter.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Not only do we have Nova at JMU this week, we will also have Richmond at Maine, which we already alluded to. Big test for Richmond on the road, looking to build on some of that momentum coming off the Albany win. Delaware is at Elon this week. Elon is in desperate need of a bounce back. Delaware, meanwhile, has looked really impressive after that North Dakota State loss.
Yes, almost knocked off Pitt, who got another win somehow against Duke.
Pitt might actually be not terrible.
Yeah.
Might be good.
I really struggle to say that because they play this not great game against Ohio. They beat UCF. They almost lose to Delaware, and then almost blow a huge lead to Duke. I don't know.
Jury's out. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Delaware's coming off a bye. Elon's having trouble. Delaware's at Elon, live on Flow. Albany at Towson. Towson's coming off a bye. They needed to get healthy. That's a big spot for them to get a break. Not a great spot for Albany, coming off the tough loss at Richmond, now going on the road to Towson. That game live on Flow. And New Hampshire, who's red hot, going to Stony Brook, who looks as good as any team in the country.
Seriously.
Listen, if JMU is number 1 or number 2, and we all think that they are, you go toe-to-toe with them the way that Stony Brook did. It's great that they moved up in the poll the way that they did. I appreciate that.
I do too. Good job, voters.
But, man, I mean, I can make an argument for you that Stony Brook is one of the 5 or 10 best teams in the country right now. So that's a tough spot for New Hampshire. But, again, they've been red hot lately.
3 in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 in a row. All of the above, live on FloFootball.com and the Flow Sports app. And if it's up to me, I think that you should definitely be there.